and welcome to Magrathea Builder Worlds. This is not a build. Sorry, if you tuned in to see yet another build, of course it's not a build. It's only a couple of days since I kind of like posted the last one. They do take time, you know. I thought what I'd do, now we are 6 weeks into 2021, is have a kind of conversation with you about what I think I'm going to do this year, what my plans are, what I might have kind of like lined up in my mind, and what's kind of like jiggling around in there to get into the kind of list of priorities. And then I thought I might give you the opportunity to chuck a bunch of questions at me about gaming, model making, who I am, what I do, all that kind of stuff. If you're interested. If you're not interested, then I don't care. But if you do want to know those kind of things, you want to ask me about who I am, what I do, why I do it, how I got to where I am, then fire away. Leave comments down below or chuck them at me on my Facebook page. And what I'll do is I'll do a kind of like a Q&A video and try and kind of like respond to those when I can. Right, now, okay, let's get down to what I've got in mind for the next little while. If you are a subscriber to this channel, thank you very much. I now have over 2,000 subscribers, which I'm blown away with. I know some people kind of watch because they want to see my latest Necromunda build. I know other people watch because they're into burrows and badgers. I have read a number of comments about the fact there are people who watch because they want to know how I'm going to wear my beard this week. You know, whatever floats your boat, guys. But I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I want to do in the next year or so in 2021. There are all sorts of cool things I've got lined up. My biggest problem against me is time and where the hell I'm going to put it all. Who knows? In the future, I might even look to offload some of this scenery that I make, so you never know. You know, hang in there. There might be a chance to kind of like grab some Magrathea scenery yourself. Right, what are we going to get on with then? Well, first of all, I think it's worth talking about Necromunda. Necromunda has been the thing that's made the channel so far as popular as it is, and I've had great fun making all this Necromunda terrain. Here it is. People who have been watching me since the start of my Necromunda build, which started in August of 2020, will have seen a whole bunch of different kind of tiles and different things that have come along for a modular table. And more recently, I've of course started on building out onto the sump. And that is probably where my Necromunda scenery is going to be going this year. I've got to paint some gangs. I'm hoping that, of course, lockdown is going to finish, and then I might actually get to kind of like play some games of Necromunda, because I haven't played any games of Necromunda 2017. I'm hoping I'll be able to do that this coming year. There are people who watch this channel I know who are old gaming friends of mine. I'm hoping they're going to be able to come here and use this stuff and play. I'm also hoping, you never know, that I might be able to get this stuff out to the odd independent game store and meet some new people. That would be cool too. So I am going to be building more things on Playmobil models. This is a Playmobil fishing boat. This is totally going to get turned into something to be out on the sump. Lots of people have mentioned fishing vessels and sampans and all that kind of thing. Definitely going to happen. In this box over here, there are bits of, because I've taken it apart, a really cool Playmobil submarine, which is also gagging to be turned into a thing for Necromunda. I don't know what, but it's going to be really cool. There's going to be scenery out on the sump. I'm going to produce little islands and junk piles and dwellings out on the sump. I don't know what it is about me, but I've got a real thing about settlements on water. River, lake town, Venice kind of things. I've got to do a scenery showcase with burrows and badger stuff. I've got a whole swamp town thing for B&B that I'm still working on. I'll get to that. And this sump kind of like thing is just going to be another project of funky things on water. So I might end up having to kind of like house rule a bunch of stuff for games, but I want gangs mobile in boats and on skimmers and sampans and that kind of thing. I want walkways and bridges over the sump, all sorts of horrible goo. I want kind of like nasty critters coming out of the water. I want all of that. Well, it's not really water, is it? I want all of that. I want to build out. So the Pier Town stuff that I've made already is going to kind of anchor a lot of the games to the side of the sump, and then I'm going to build out and extend out into the sump. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen there. Keep watching if you're into Necromunda. Okay, Lord of the Rings. Definitely going to be making more stuff for Lord of the Rings, or the Middle-earth strategy battle game as it's now called. You may well have seen some scenery I made for my Dunlendings. I'm going to make some more of that. I want to make a couple of animal buyers and another couple of small crofts, so I've got a complete settlement. But I'm also going to move on to other areas. I'm not a massive fan of the Hobbit movies, but like I said about Necromunda, in Lord of the Rings, one of the places I'm totally in love with, and always have been ever since I was a kid, was the idea of Lake Town. And Lake Town in the movie, in The Desolation of Smaug, is just absolutely perfect. It's just a brilliant, brilliant place. I'm totally in love with it. I could spend hours watching the extended appendices on the Hobbit videos, on the DVDs, about how they built Lake Town, how it's designed, that kind of thing. I've got myself a bunch of the workshop Lake Town houses. They're nice. I've got 3 or 4. You could do various things with them. I'm going to experiment with the kits, apart from anything else, to see how many different ways I could put them together and make a number of Lake Town houses with workshop kits. But there is only one kit, and Lake Town is a very diverse place indeed. One of my favourite things I've discovered recently is this series of books. This is the Hobbit Chronicles, and these are made by Weta Workshop, and they are full on. We'll have a look at the details in that in a minute. Come over here, we'll take a look, because this is just absolutely brilliant, and this is what's driving me to want to make Lake Town scenery. So you might not have seen this book before. This is a series. I haven't got the 3rd one yet. I really love them. They're gorgeous. I mean, apart from anything else, just the touching of the outside. If you like books, these are awesome. Track them down, but not until I've bought Battle of the 5 Armies, please, because they, you know, drive up the prices and that kind of thing. This is the section in here all about Lake Town. Now, I said before, I'm not an enormous fan of the Hobbit films as much as the Lord of the Rings films. The Hobbit films, I think, have got an awful lot going for them. The Hobbit as a book will make a terrible movie because of the way it's written. There are bits in the Hobbit that I really don't like, but I just absolutely love the attention to detail in this design work. What we get with this book is amazing drawings, all the concept art for Lake Town, and photographs of the set and all the wobbly bits. Now, the one building that the workshop made for Lake Town is really nice, but it ain't any of these, and it's not this. And Lake Town is huge, and it's covered in snow and ice in the films, which I really love the idea of. So, you know, all of these pictures in here are absolutely dying to be turned into models. I'm not going to be able to do it all because there's absolutely masses and masses. But I mean, look, just check it out. I mean, it's just phenomenal. The length and depth they go to when they were making this stuff is just extraordinary. And I want to try and capture some of this in models. Now, I could be clever and try and use it for a couple of systems. Of course, the problem with the Lord of the Rings, the Middle-earth strategy battle game, is it's a slightly different scale to most other things, but it is just amazing. And this is Bard's home. It's just epic. I just need to make that as a model. I don't know how I'm going to achieve that. There's an awful lot of model making to occur there, but I want to make that and try and get that to appear on a tabletop. Who wouldn't? It's just absolutely brilliant. Okay, so along with Lake Town, I've got over here behind me in a set of drawers a whole bunch of Hobbits. I mean, a ton of Hobbits. My favourite part of the Lord of the Rings is the scouring of the Shire, which of course doesn't really make it into the movie. There are little kind of moments that point towards what's going on in the Shire. When Sam looks in the mirror of Galadriel, he can see what's going on in the Shire and he's devastated about it, that kind of thing. But it doesn't really happen in the film at all, mainly because there are too many endings, man. Jack Nicholson said that about the movie and he would have been completely right. Going back and doing Scouring the Shire would have just added hours and hours to the film. But it's a cool part of the book and I really want to play that. So to make the Scouring of the Shire then, I'm going to use Forge World resin. But there's only a couple of bits of that. And after I've exhausted that, I'm going to be stuck. And I want to make stuff for my Shire that looks similar to the film. And again, I'm going to be using, apart from anything else, The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey Chronicles. Because that has got loads of details about buildings in the Shire. Because when they made The Hobbit, they extended that massive outdoor set they used for Lord of the Rings to give loads more details. So come here again and check this out. We'll have a look here and see what it might involve. And again, now it's all in perfect place in New Zealand. They've rebuilt it all and left it. The Shire is just extraordinary. And now, obviously, I don't want to build all of Bag End. He lied. Of course I want to build all of Bag End, but whether that happens or not, I don't know. But here we go. There are all of these different Hobbit holes. I'm not going to try and build them all. There are masses. But I would really love to have a crack at building some of them. The Green Dragon is just dying to be made as a proper model to wargaming. And there are people out there now who are 3D printing this. I've seen one. But I don't want a 3D printing one. I want a made one. I don't know whether it's going to be possible. But I'm going to give it a crack. There's so much detail in these books. I just want to include that on a tabletop. So I can play really cool games of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Okay, so that's Necromunda and the Middle-earth strategy battle game. That's quite a lot to be getting on with anyway. There is, of course, my favourite game in the whole wide world, Burrows and Badgers. I'm going to be doing some commission builds in the next little while for Gary at Black Dragon Miniatures to go along with the Stoke Bart haulage yard I've already made. So watch out for those. Those videos are going to be imminent in the next few weeks. But also on top of that, I want to be making some more stuff for myself. I want to expand Lunden, my main place where I play B&B. So that's in the south of the B&B world, so in Saxnar rather than in Northumbria, if you're au fait with Burrows and Badgers. And if by now you're a subscriber and you're not, what on earth you're doing, go and get it. You know, it's just an awesome game. And Lunden, of course, is London, a big city, and there are going to be cool things to make there. And one of the things that I really want to make is a version of London Bridge, or Lunden Bridge. I've got a thing from a historical point of view about old London Bridge and that massive structure with buildings on it and an entire kind of population and culture all on this bridge. And I'd like to have a crack at making a B&B version of that. In some ways, I'd like to make a historically accurate version of that, but in 28mm, that would be absolutely massive and quite impractical to make and store and use. It would look epic and it would take me forever. That would be like the whole project. So I'm going to have to kind of like scale down, I think, my ideas, and I'm going to use pictures like this and this and these to give me ideas of how I'm going to build a bridge for Burrows and Badgers. It will mostly be XPS foam and then XPS foam and balsa wood and foam core buildings on top of it. And I'd like it to become basically a whole board for gaming on anyway, without a, you know, either end. What with the starlings that the bridge will be built on, and then the buildings themselves and all that kind of action. It'll be an amazing kind of location for narrative games, which is actually what I'm after. So, but along with that huge B&B project, I've got other buildings that I want to make for the different locations that I've created for Burrows and Badgers. More buildings for Bimfliot, which is the swamp town that I mentioned before, out in the marshes of East Saxnar. A watermill I need to build for that, or a tide mill. I want to build some more buildings to go in Lunden. I'm going to build a bathhouse apart from anything else, because these critters have got to keep clean, you know. And then I'll probably build some more of my rural kind of scenery as well. So that's plenty to keep me going. And then if that isn't enough, I also have a real yearning to build proper scenery for Judge Dredd miniatures games. Now, granted, this is the first Warlord Games Judge Dredd miniatures game, and it's not the current one, and it's not the Mongoose one either. I do have loads of figures for Judge Dredd, some of which are painted, some aren't, and I'd like to get a lot of the new ones that Warlord produced. They're really cool, and I've always had a thing for Judge Dredd ever since I was a kid. I like the movies, both of them. Both have their own kind of reasons for liking them. Even the Stallone one. Yes, I know he took his helmet off. Yes, I know, blah, 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 blah. But there are bits in it I really like. And the Carl Urban 2012 one is absolutely epic, but it's got a VW camper van in it, which I don't like. And I don't like the Lawmasters in that either. And there isn't enough kind of like zany Mega City one in it. So I like a game that kind of covers both. One of my problems with Judge Dredd games, and when I've looked at others online and on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever else, is the number of people who play Judge Dredd using Necromunda scenery, or the number of people who play Frostgrave using their Morgheim scenery, and etc, etc. And that kind of thing. I know it sounds a bit snooty, but I want my Judge Dredd games to look like Judge Dredd, and I want my Necromunda games to look like Necromunda, and they aren't the same thing. Necromunda is grim, dark, dirty and horrible. Judge Dredd, actually in Mega City 1, shouldn't be that at all. On the whole, alright, there's graffiti, but you get nicked and arrested and put in the ISA cubes for that. There isn't litter, because you get nicked and arrested and put in the ISA cubes for that, but there are all sorts of other things. So I want to have a different aesthetic to my Judge Dredd scenery than I do to my Necromunda scenery. So that's going to be a pretty massive challenge, and I haven't got many ideas how I'm going to do that. To start off with, I think I just might make a tween block plaza. And I'm going to make an inside part of a shopping mall, just one tiny little bit of a block, which has got a number of different shops and bits and pieces. So, look, I think that's quite a lot to be getting on with, really, from that point of view. There's a lot to be aiming at for 2021. What do you think? Do you think there's something else you'd like to see me make? Are there short little videos that you'd like me to see me make? Because I've bloody tried to make little videos, and they keep ending up being about 45 minutes long. You know, so the sump fortress for the enforcers is 3 45-minute videos, or will be by the time I finish the third one. So are there little videos that you like to see little things of? Are there kind of other projects you'd like to see? Is there other stuff that I've got that you know I've got that you'd like to see on video? Tell me, I'll see what I can do. I'm always looking for different ideas for content. Are there any questions you want to ask me about all of this? What I do and why and how I got into it and that kind of thing. Fire questions at me, and I'm sure I'm quite happy to do a video to answer any of those. That'll be quite an interesting thing for me to do. I'd like to know more about the people who are kind of watching me in my workshop in the kind of like in a garden in Essex doing what I do. It's kind of fascinating. So yeah, chuck us some questions, see what you think.